Council, Sister Register, can you help us to locate this letter? Take it to her.
With respect to as to whether it is within their purview or their mandate to insist on a PO
August 26th?
Yes.
Yes.
No, it's the letter is dated from the authority the 2nd of October, and this is in response to the letter from BCC, which is dated the 29th of September 2020. It is very difficult to locate in the file because the files are really not in order. Can I give him the copies that I have, whilst you can avail the file to council to help you check, the exact location of the said letters?
Absolutely.
Which you can tag to allow him to confirm that it is contained in the file?
Yes.
Okay. So please give him this to check on this letter, which is the second to the last, and to look at this one, the first. Let him look at the second to the, yes. They are all tagged.
Evaluation report.
Are you reading the
yes,
the letter dated 2nd
of October? Yes.
Yes. No, just read. You may not read to the commission, but just quickly go through,
okay,
so that you can answer the question and we can proceed. Yes, Mr. Jet.
Your Honor, can he read it loud so that
yes,
can
okay. You can follow.
Yeah.
You can read it. You can read it loud so that we could all be guided when we ask the question.
The letter dated 2nd October 2020, addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Banjul City Council, and it reads, Dear Sir, evaluation for the supply of 5,700 plastic waste bins and 2 compactor trucks. Your letter reference 65/BCC/91/ volume 2 dated 29th September 2020 relative to the above subject matter. Following a detailed review of your third resubmission as regards the procurement of 5,700 waste bins, please be informed that from the totality of documentary evidence before the authority vis-à-vis your requirements, Fatima Trading is the most responsive bidder, both technically and financially, and has fully satisfied the criteria set forth in the approved bidding document. We further educate on the spirit of the content of our statement contained in our previous letter reference GPPA/BCC/TR3 20/11 JJ dated 25th September 2020 that copying and pasting is not an anomaly in the country public procurement system. Translate in simple language that, or thus, GPPA is not aware of and have not seen any provision in both the Procurement Act and its attendant regulations that prohibits copying and pasting during a bidding process. Therefore, the onus lies with BCC to point out any provision in the procurement law that prohibits copying and pasting, as GPPA is not aware of any. Furthermore, be reminded that what is expected from participating bidders is to present their offers against your requirements. If the manner does not violate the procurement law or regulations, it shall not be treated as violation.
Yes, and then read the letter.
The other letter.
Yes.
Her request for technical expertise, advice, and again addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Banjul City Council. Dear Sir, your letter reference 36/BCC/91/2/Volume 3 dated 1st March 2021 requesting the authorities technical advice on whether to proceed with the previous contract arrangement or to sign a new contract agreement for the procurement and supply of 5,700 plastic waste bins. On this basis, the authority, without admission of liability, advise you to maintain the previous contract agreement with Fatima Sabali Trading with regards minor adjustments, and that is, for example, dates, timelines as appropriate. We thank you for your understanding and cooperation and avail ourselves for further guidance on your procurement.
Oh, yes. So now my question is, they wrote to you to ask you your technical advice.
Good.
As to whether to maintain this contract or to sign a new contract. Going by the response, do you think the response is adequate or sufficient? Given what they have requested you to do for them?
Come again. Whether we take the advice,
whether you have provided, as per their request, you understand, the technical expertise, the technical advice.
Whether that was given to them?
Yes.
Yes, we have given them the technical advice.
Okay.
In the sense that, remember that bidding is a process.
Yeah.
Starting from approval of the bidding document, when requirements will be fully indicated, and based on that, approval will be given on otherwise. Meaning whoever is to offer or bid must bid in accordance with those requirements. And our role as an authority is to ensure that the procedures and processes are fully followed to the letter. And the bidding document is approved. Based on that, offers are made and evaluations were also conducted. And from their evaluations, they make recommendations. So our role is to ensure that whatever recommendations are made are in line with what the law provides for.
Proceed.
Yes. So our advice is like to ensure that whatever decision that they are going to take is in accordance with what the law provides for. So if they make a decision which is not in line with the law, obviously we cannot accept, we cannot allow them to proceed. But that may not tantamount to interference, because already a bidding document is agreed upon, a bidding document is approved, hence they are supposed to go by what the law provides for.
Sorry. My question now is that before I even ask my question, was this the supplier that was finally given the contract?
Yes, it was the supplier, Fatima.
She was the final supplier that was contracted for to deliver on this contract.
Exactly. Because if I can come further, according to them, Fatima was going to be disqualified because she's been accused of copying and pasting. She copied and pasted. In the bidding document, there is a portion called the combined technical specification, where you specify your requirements. It's a table on the left. You indicate all what you wanted, and on the right, the supplier will indicate what she has. So what the supplier did was, what they said they wanted, she copied to paste on the right, on the other side, to indicate that he met all those requirements. The onus now lies on BCC to verify whether what Fatima is saying is true or not. But as far as the laws are concerned, there is nothing that says, both in the regulation and the act, that copy and paste is not acceptable.
But now, in those same transactions and in the same file, we have seen that the performance security bond was not provided. There is no proof as to what time that security performance bond was provided for. Or is there any evidence in the file?
I did not go over the letter. I went briefly over the reasons why they said they're going to.
Yes, my reason for asking the question is that because I believe that you have said, and we accept, that procurement is a process and it must be followed. Correct. And if there are some hitches in the process, it should be clear before you finally give the advice. Correct. So it is in that line that I'm asking, because in the same file we have seen that there were back and forth, you understand, letters, and we have not seen in the file any security performance bond being provided for as per the bidding document. So, and these are all processes, as you always say, they must complete the process. Correct. And it's a checklist process. Correct. If you bring security performance bond, it's verified, it's okay, you tick. Is that not it?
Correct.
Yes. So we believe that there are issues, and whether the authority took its time to look at whether in actual fact this particular supplier complied fully with everything that is required for to perform or to supply or to do whatever act is required under the bid.
Correct.
So that is why I asked the question.
Correct. Now, to establish
so
that...
So now, can you tell me whether going through the file, you can tell for sure that the supplier was fully compliant?
Then I must take time to go over the file to verify whether everything.
Yes, because we have seen so many
not.
omissions that are not contained in the file. So this is why we asked the question. But since we cannot give evidence, and it's a file coming from you, we just have to ask you the questions.
Yes, but
thank you. Yes, so all right. We will give you time to look at it, but hopefully you will send us the reply or the information when you do so.
Okay.
So, Council.
Yes.
Yes. Can I have my documents, please? Thank you.
Can you
Are you set?
Yes.
Yes. Just to summarize briefly with respect to your communication with the chairperson. So what happened in that situation is that basically at the end of the day, Fatima Trading was awarded the contract. Correct. Is that not the case?
Yes.
When BCC earlier on decided to award the contract to Keba and Sons.
Correct.
On grounds that copy and pasting was what disqualified Fatima Trading.
Correct.
So the position of GPA is that copy and pasting is not a violation as far as you are concerned based on the act and the regulation. Is that not the case?
Correct.
But subsequently, that's why these three files are all in relation to Fatima Trading and the dustbin issues regarding BCC. Do you copy?
Yes.
Yes. So subsequently, the communications are such that BCC sought to terminate the contract with Fatima Trading because, as far as they're concerned, she had about 2 weeks or thereabout to submit or fulfill her own side of the contract, which is the 5,700 dustbins, and they are saying that she failed in her obligations. So now Fatima, at some point lawyers were involved. Fatima involved her lawyer, Ida Drame, and then she wrote to BCC, and the assertion was that basically Fatima did not really violate the agreement because she was not accorded the opportunity to fulfill the contract. So basically that is the situation with Fatima, and then at some point they wrote to your office seeking for advice based on the communications between BCC and Fatima Trading regarding as to whether BCC should go ahead and terminate the contract or not. Is that correct?
Correct.
So now you are advised that they should maintain the contract. Now, but before we get there, let's look at the circumstances surrounding the awarding of the contract. Now, can you the file Mark 2 of 20, that is the year 2020.
Yes.
Can you please refer yourself to the letter dated the 13th of July 2022? Do you see it? Where one of the contracts committee or two of them refused to sign the minutes of the contracts committee.
You said the letter dated...
Do you see the letter dated the 13th of July 2022?
13th July.
Yes, do you see it? If not, it is the same content with the letter the 1st of July 2020 as well. So either of them would suffice.
The letter dated 13th July from GPP.
Yes.
Yes.
What is the content of the letter?
Again, the address to the Chief Executive Officer, Banjul City Council.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Restricted tender for dustbins and compactors. Your letter reference 56/BCC/9, volume 2, dated 7th July 2020, relative to the above subject matter. The authority has taken note of the modification made to your bidding document relative to the procurement of 2 compactors and enjoin you to proceed with the tender. Please indicate the minimum value of similar contracts on clause 21 of the bid data sheet before inviting bidders. The authority acknowledged and thanked you for providing the list of appointed contractors or committee members and their sample signatures against their names and
Mr.
telephone
Sanyang,
numbers.
no, Mr. Sanyang, is the list of appointed contracts committee members, not contractors. Did you see that?
Yes, for providing the list of appointed contracts committee members and their sample signatures against their names and telephone numbers. However, we would still like you to regularize the following for our records and future references. 1. Why Ablai J. Kaur, Acting Director of Audit, did not sign the list of contracts committee members submitted. 2. Is there any reason why the Aidanjai Acting Procurement Officer declined to sign the list of the contracts committee members submitted? Finally, be reminded that 60% of the bidding document or sale of bidding document.
It seems you always remind them of the 60%.
That is what is us.
Oh, that is what?
Our backbone. Without
yes, I see in every letter you always remind them of the payment, 60% payment.
Exactly.
It is funny because if you had been doing, if you have been reminding them of their obligation as well, insisting on the obligation, you'd have made more money. Don't you think so? Because every letter I turn to, I see you will remind them. Finally, we are reminding you of the 60% payment. Anyways, that's all right. So now, you are still raising issues regarding signatures of contracts committee members. Number 1, the audit, the internal auditor, is that not correct? He
Correct.
failed to sign, and
Correct.
you raised that issue.
Correct.
And then you have the procurement officer. What is the name of the internal auditor? You will see it in
Ablai J. Kaur.
Ablai J. Kaur. And
Yes.
the name of the procurement officer at the time? What? Aidanjai?
Aidanjai.
Jai, yes. So they refused to sign these contracts committee meetings. And you were telling us as to circumstances that may lead to procurement officers or contracts committee members not signing contracts committee meetings. Can you please just have a recap on that?
Now, appending your signature on a document, especially when it comes to minutes, indicates agreeing to whatever the content will be.
Yes.
Now, if you are not satisfied or in agreement with the content, you may have reservations and not sign.
That's correct.
2, if you are not part of that particular meeting and probably they want you to sign and agree to the content, you may refuse to sign.
Yes.
You may be part of the meeting, you may disagree to agree on something, but at the end of the day, your suggestions or advice or whatsoever is not taken on board, and whatever they are taking, probably you feel that is not in line with what is supposed to be. So in that case, appending your signature means committing yourself and also agreeing to what they are saying. So in such a case, obviously, probably whoever is affected may reserve he or herself not to sign.
Okay, so I understand that. So we'll now come back to that. But then again, why do you always request for contrast committee meetings and insisting that they must be signed before you sometimes grant approval, and not only the minutes of meetings that have been signed, but then across the names of the members, you sometimes insist on their telephone numbers, don't you?
Yes, yes.
So tell us the reasoning behind that. Why do you insist on those?
First, on the insisting that they should sign.
Yes.
Remember, the principles of procurement is to ensure transparency, openness, accountability,
yes,
and so on and so forth. And remember also that the law requires that the accounting officer and those officials concerned are accountable to whatever procurement decision they take.
Okay.
So if that is the case, before one appends his or her signature agreeing to something, obviously it's a commitment that you are taking, because at the end of the day you are accountable. If it goes wrong, you are there. If it is right, yes, you
why
are.
Do you now request that the contrast committee meetings be signed and telephone numbers be ascribed to the names therein?
So, because one of the principles is accountability and openness, whoever is part of a meeting must sign agreeing to whatever is contained on the minutes of the...
Will I be correct to say that, in summary, the reason is so that you will be better informed that if you are to approve a certain application, that you'll be informed adequately that it has been emanated from the contrast committee itself, and it was agreed upon, and they appended their signature to, on it. And then if you suspect any foul play, then the numbers are there for you to verify.
Correct.
Will that not be correct?
Correct.
Now, so in this instance, you have two members, but these two individuals, they are not any ordinary member, are they? The procurement officer, you told us, must be part of the contracts committee.
Correct.
And why is that? I know it is
provided for by the
law.
By the law.
But then also it's very much important. Is that not the case?
Correct.
So if the procurement officer is present, is present in the meeting, and the internal auditor, very key members, and they both fail to sign, for example, would it be advisable to just approve?
No.
But in that case, you approved. The authority approved. Based on that letter, it was approved. The first paragraph informed us that it is the application was approved. Does it not?
That is the 13th July letter.
Yes, yes. Just read the first paragraph.
The authority has taken note of the modification made on your bidding document relative to the procurement of 2 composters and enjoin you to proceed with the tender.
Yes. Is that not an approval?
Is
that an approval?
Yeah, yes, approval is given for BCC to proceed, subject to indicating.
Subject to what?
Indicate the minimum value of similar contracts.
Yeah, let's forget about those ones. Those ones probably there can be approval as long as subsequently they provide those minimum values, which can always be provided for before proceeding with the bidding process. But you had just told us earlier the importance of having these 2 key members in a contrast committee, and when they fail to sign, it would not be advisable to proceed and grant approval. And now the authority granted approval.
Council, I may also verify, but I...
No, before you verify, let me refer you to the BCC letter dated 14th. Mr. Sanya, please, before you verify, let me refer you to the letter dated 14th of July, where the Director General was written to. Please take a look at the letter and read it and see...
14th of July?
Yes, 14th of
From
July.
BCC?
Yes, from BCC. Just to assist counsel in this point.
Yes, sir.
Because it's clearly captured in this letter.
Restricted tenders for dustbins and compactors. A reference is made to your letter reference that are allowing the council to proceed on a restricted tender basis.
Sorry, when you are reading the letter, kindly read everything because it's evidence that has been taken.
Reference is made to your letter GPPA stroke BCC stroke TR2 stroke 20 stroke 4 stroke JJ, allowing the council to proceed on a restricted tender basis with the compactors and also the acknowledgement of the signatures of the contracts committee members. I attach a memo from my office to the acting procurement explaining the need for the GPPA to be given the particulars of the contracts committee members, but subsequently declined to sign when approached by my secretary. The reason may be best known to her. We henceforth have to complete our assignment. Attached to this letter is also the signatures list as previously sent to show that Mr. Ablai J. Kaur signed the list. We would also prepare for an open tender for the business as recommended by your... You made a mistake. You said open tender for the... We would also prepare for an open tender for the dustbins. But the spellings are wrong there, BUS instead of DUS. I think it's supposed to be dustbins as recommended by your institution. No. Once again, I would reiterate that we need your advice for the bidding dates because those dates mentioned in the bid documents have elapsed. So you can see that attached to the list, there are still members in that list who did not sign. Correct. As contract committee members. Correct. Right? Yes. So does this have an implication in further processes as they go forward in the procurement process? Yeah, listen. 3, 4 signs. I'm not sure. We are making some consult. We are trying to, and except that is confirmed, I don't know whether that can, and this is, we are not very sure, but somewhere it is indicated that minutes of a contracts committee agreeing to something must have 3 members to sign. That is what we are trying to confirm. Okay. Yeah, and unless upon confirmation, let us confirm. Yes. The reason why I'm asking is because here you have said in your evidence, I think to be precise last week, that the procurement officer is key. And correct. If the procurement officer fails to, you understand, a contracts committee meeting, have some assumptions to that effect. Correct, yeah.
Council, you may proceed. He has noted that he will check whether all the members are supposed to sign or only 3 members.
Yes.
Signing would be sufficient for them to proceed on the
I
process.
think there is a minimum for
Signatures.
Yes.
signatories.
There is a minimum.
That I will confirm.
Okay. Please confirm for us.
Yes.
Thank you.
There is a minimum procurement officers sign is a problem regarding probably with, and also we have spoken about the fact that and then you have raised that
Correct.
issue with them. So they subsequently wrote back to you and said, well, no, Mr. Kaur actually signed. They attached another copy.
Correct.
That Mr. Kaur actually signed the minutes, but the one you have was not signed. So there were several transactions. So one of the minutes that you are referring to was not signed, but then they attached a subsequent one, which they claimed that it was signed by Mr. Kaur, but then Iranjai refused to sign. Do you follow?
Yes.
So you were just reading the letter that they said Mr. Kaur signed.
Correct.
Is there any attachment to that letter regarding the contrast committee minutes that indicates that in fact there was a signature of Mr. Kaur?
Whether there is
Attachment to that letter to indicate, to show where Mr. Kaur signed?
Yes, I have BCC, Banjul City Council Contrast Committee members.
Yes.
And their names and signatures.
Exactly.
And against Blai J. Kaur, there is a signature.
Yes. That is one of the media. Is there any date on that?
The date.
Is there any date on that document?
It dated, yes.
But then the one I showed you earlier, which showed that Mr. Kaur and Ida Njai, was there a date ascribed to that document?
Yes, I have one. I don't know whether that is the one you are referring to. It's dated 8 June 2020.
Then that is the one that did not have the signatures of Mr. Kaur.
No, this one have the signatures of both Iranjai and...
No, that is for 8 June.
Yes.
The ones we are dealing with are in July.
In July.
I will come to the letter for with respect to 8 June. In fact, let's just deal with it right now since you have seen it. So the letter for 8 June indicates that both the internal auditor signed that document. Is that not the case?
Yes, the 8 June.
Yes.
Yes.
Seems to suggest that they signed the documents.
Correct.
Now, but then that was in June for the same subject matter.
Yes.
But then subsequently, the other contrast committee meetings indicates of 1st July will show that in fact Iranjai did not sign the committee meeting.
Yes.
And Mr. Kaur. But then when you wrote to them, they wrote to you back indicating that in fact Mr. Kaur signed the minutes of the meetings, and then they attached a sample, a copy.
Correct.
And that copy, there is no date on it.
Yes.
In your time in dealing with this file at DPPA, have you received any form of complaint from any individual involved in this particular transaction regarding issues of signature or issues of malpractice of any kind, whether formally or informally?
I could remember sometime receiving something of that nature from one Iranjai.
Please tell us the details regarding the nature of the complaint or interactions with Iranjai.
According to her, her signature was forged when she refused to append her signature on minutes of a particular contrast committee meeting.
Yes. So she claimed that her signature was forged. Do you recall what time this was, which year this was?
I cannot recall.
You can't recall, but then you recall having that interaction with her.
Yes.
How many times? Was it once, or was she coming to the office several times?
I cannot remember, but remember that she once came to my office with such a complaint.
And then the one that she said to have signed doesn't have a date.
I think the one that we are looking at, where the Ablai court signed.
Yes.
But still, Aidanjai didn't.
Yes. Aidanjai didn't.
And
but
that is the one without the date.
Exactly. Now, on the one on the 8th is where there appears to be a signature of hers.
Yes.
That was one on the 8th of June.
Correct.
So this 8th of June would have preceded, would have come first, because you have June and then July naturally. So she is saying that she did not sign, her signature was forged, and the only one we see in the file that appears to have her signature generally is the one on the 8th of June 2020, seemingly agreeing to the contracts committee conclusion.
Correct.
But there is no date on that one, you are saying.
Correct.
Now,
so before
yes.
you proceed, didn't you feel as an authority that you could have taken recourse provided for in section 67 of your act? Because this one is direct and is specific. Somebody has reported to you that her signature is forged. Would it not have been prudent for you to have recourse to section 67?
67 is about.
Your Honor, Madam Chair, the authorities should have taken remedial action. Section 60, like you said, that's in the new act is
84.
Section 84.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you are right. That provision is there for the authority to act.
Because this just would not have been you engaging yourself in a fishing expedition. It was very direct. Thank you. Counsel?
Yes. Now,
yeah, sorry. Yes. Before you proceed on to in July, please, Mr. Sanyang, look at the letter that was written to you on the 7th of July, where the CEO indicated that attached to this letter is a copy I wrote to the acting procurement officer to authenticate her signature, but she declined.
Yes, I have seen that.
So which
or the minutes of 8 June 2020, and then there is a form 012 2020. Do you see that? Form 012. Do you see it?
Dated
the 23rd of June 2020.
Yes, I have several forms 012 signed by different individuals.
Do you see any signature of a name called Idenjai in any of those forms 012?
Yes, Idenjai.
Please compare that signature with the one on the 8th of June 2020, the one you have just read to us, without the date.
The one without date.
Yes, the one that Aidanjai purportedly signed.
That one is the 8th one.
8, yes, the 8th of June 2020. You compare it with the one 23rd of June 2020.
That's it. This is what
do you see it?
You want us to compare?
Please compare the signatures.
Yes.
Do you notice anything in the signatures?
Well, I don't
have to be an expert.
They seems to be to differ anyway.
They seem to be different.
Yes.
Okay. What is Form 012?
Form 012 is the declaration by members of the Contrast Committee.
Okay. Now, you are saying, as far as your judgment is concerned, they seem to be different signatures. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Jete, do you hold the same view?
Yeah, this is clear. I don't have to be an expert to know that these two signatures are not.
You are?
I don't have to be an expert
to know they are not the same.
These two signatures are not the same.
Thank you very much. Can I have the register pull these two documents and show the commissioners these two documents that we are referring to also have a feel as to the signatures we are trying to compare and contrast? The Honorable Registrar of the Commission will show the commissioners the two documents.
Whilst they are checking, can I ask, can you let us know what the regulation provide for certification made by member of the Contracts Committee? What does the regulation say about that?
Certification made
by... Form 012 you said is...
The declaration by members of the
contract. What does the regulation say about that?
Well, this is where members of the committee will certify that they don't have any interest whatsoever in the subject matter in the procurement.
Can you refer us to the regulation so that we would appreciate why the members should sign?
Regulation, but I cannot remember which section provides for
the regulation that deals with the Contracts Committee members signing.
Procurement proceedings.
Is it provided for in the regulations?
I cannot remember. That is what I'm trying to verify.
Okay, then if you cannot see, we
contrast.
You could use time.
Okay.
The declaration of interest, usually the contrast committee members would have to, we usually sign a declaration form to declare that they have no interest in the procurement process or the supplier or third parties that may be affiliated to them. Messiah, is that correct?
Come again?
I am saying the declaration form is more or less like declaring that you have no either with the suppliers or the procurement process or third parties that may be affiliated with the suppliers.
Correct.
So generally, I see it more like a standard requirement. It's more like a standard requirement.
Yes.
So when you see the correct citation, just please don't hesitate to show us so that we can inform the chairperson. Are we together?
Can we proceed, please?
Yes. I'm just having a discussion with my lead counsel. The regulation will just kind of prohibit any form of or address any form of conflict of interest. So sometimes through those sections that may address the issue of conflict of interest, that usually institutions will have to provide mechanisms how they can address issues of conflict of interest.
That is why I asked whether this is guided by also the regulations.
Yes, it is.
It must be there because this list that I am showing you, although we agree that the citations are not consistent because this is about 2003, but you have it on regulation 142. So that's the old regulation, and now that the regulation is changed, it must be there, but I have to verify where exactly it is captured. So it's regulation 142 of 2003 regulations.
Yes, because in the 2018 regulation, 142 is basic pricing approaches.
Yes, so I'll confirm. I will confirm which one corresponds with these sections or these.
So
provisions.
kindly get your office to amend this to have the correct citations against the forms. That will enable us understand and appreciate, you understand, what is contained in the regulation and what the forms are talking about.
Correct.
All right?
We'll do that.
Thank you.
Yes, so we've already discussed that they appear to really be very much different.
Yes.
And Mr. Jeta even said you even have to be an expert, which I entirely agree with. But again, we have a complaint as well that signatures were allegedly forged. We will deal with that when subsequent witnesses. So the contract was still approved and it went ahead. So Keba and Sons was really the initial pick by BCC. You have now advised that Fatima Sabali is the one that is more the 5,000. Please proceed.
Well, I think Nawek cheated us with time, and that is why I'm trying to make up for time.
Absolutely.
That we lost.
All right. So just last question. We will now leave the issue of the bank guarantee. But one fundamental issue is that on the 30th October 2020, you were reading that that letter.
30th October
2020, where they wrote to GPPA notifying you of the failure of the supplier or the contractor to meet up with the contract. In that letter, were you not notified that there were no advance payments made to the contractor?
30th October.
Yeah, 2020. They filed 3 of 20 of the second file of 3 of 20. You were just reading it. We just dealt with it some few minutes ago. In that letter, you will see that they notified you of the failure of the contractor to meet up with her obligations as per the contract.
I'm struggling to see it.
But do you see the letter for the 18th November?
November 18th.
Yes, 2020. My point is we can deal with this on Monday, but the issue is on the 30th, when they wrote to you, it appears as if they informed you that there were no advance payments made to Fatima Sabali Trading, but when they wrote to Fatima Sabali Trading, they were requested for advance payments made to her.
Okay.
So on Monday we will. On Monday, I will make sure I will refer you to those 2 documents. Okay. But just for you to get the gist of the conversation, that when they were dealing with GPPA, they did not give you adequate information, that's BCC, regarding whether monies were paid to the contractor. In fact, they said categorically clear that no advance payments were made to the contractor. But on the 18th of November, when we were dealing with Fatima Trading individually, they informed her or reminded her of the advance payments made to her, and that it has to be recovered. Okay. Do you understand? Very well. Madam Chair, thank you so much. We will continue from there when we come back.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jeja and Mr. Sanyan. We will resume sitting on Monday, and thank you so much. We may rise.